Hello and welcome to Addis News Hour with the news. I'm Shifarao Lako. President Sahle-Work Zewde calls for intensified efforts to support schoolgirls across the country. This remark came when the president paid visits to the Tullu Dimtu Secondary and Preparatory School. Meanwhile, the International Women's Day was celebrated across the nation with assorted events. Alula Teklemariam has the following compilation.
Tullu Dimtu Secondary and Preparatory School hosts a large number of female students receiving various sanitation supplies. In connection with the International Women's Day, March 8, President Sahle-Work Zewde delivered a message stressing the need to empower women while visiting the school. The president commended the community of the school for their multifaceted support to female students.
ለእናንተ ድጋፍ የሚሆኑ የስነ ልቦና ልዩ ፍላጎት ወዘተ ሁሉ የተደራጁ መሆናቸውን ማየት
I witnessed that the gender club, sanitation and special needs support in this school are well organized. It also needs cooperative efforts to ensure gender equality in our country. We don't ask special privilege to women, we rather seek equal treatment with men.
President Sahle-Work thus called upon the public to strengthen efforts, thereby empowering women in all aspects.
ይህን እድል አግኝተን ወደ ላይ ለመውጣት የቻል ሌሎች እንዲያድጉ ካድረዳን
The gap will widen unless we the higher officials help in the empowerment effort. So the government is committed to support you, and my office is also looking for additional means to help you reach at the higher education and succeed. We don't see many women at the university level. This has to be changed. There is a wrong perception that sectors like science and technology don't belong to women.
Meanwhile, coordinator of Gender Club at the school, Masarat Nugusi, said such motivations are helpful in raising confidence of the school girls.
ክበባት ውስጥ ይሰራል ለምሳሌ ስራ ተጾታ ዛሬ አይደለም ከአራት ዓመት በፊት ነው
We organized the gender club in our school some 4 years ago to support students who are in need of help. They get sanitation and educational materials whenever they need. In addition, teachers give tutorial lessons to these students. We work cooperatively with the public.
The day was marked with the Ministry of Defense and various other offices across the nation with an assortment of events.
In another story, President Sahle-Work Zewde has held talks with envoys from President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo and current chair of the African Union. The delegation led by Professor Alphonse Ntumbi Luaba last week also held talks with Ethiopia's Minister of Water, Irrigation and Energy, Sileshi Bekele. The discussion focused on the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam negotiations in an effort to facilitate all parties involved to reach a win-win solution. The president reiterated Ethiopia's commitment to finding a solution that benefits all concerned parties within the framework of African solutions to African problems. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has called upon the public to prioritize peace in the next election by voting candidates committed to this value. Speaking during the launching of road projects in the state of Amhara, the premier stressed that peace comes before everything else. Realizing this, people need to ensure and set up an equal platform for all contesting political parties, the premier pointed out. He also pledged that his ruling party will represent the people's vote in the next general election.
በዚህ ምርጫ ያሻችሁን ምረጡ ግን ሰላምን አስቀድሙ
In this election, vote for whoever you want, but I urge you to prioritize peace and please make sure that all candidates are given equal platform while competing to get your vote. We want all political parties to have equal opportunities in this election. There should not be any political parties pushed out from the process. It is only when all parameters are maintained that Ethiopia becomes victorious.
Now, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Dammaqe Mokonnin has received at his office U.S. Ambassador to Ethiopia, Greta Passim. The two sides commended their long-standing and fraternal friendships Ambassador Pasi said Ethiopia is the focal point for the U.S. in the region. The Deputy Prime Minister has used the opportunity to brief the U.S. ambassador on the genesis of the law enforcement operation in the state of Tigray. He said all of the belligerent actions of the TPLF group left the federal government with no option other than to carry out the campaign to end impunity and restore law and order in the region. Dammaqa's briefing included situations on the aftermath of the active phase of the law enforcement campaign that necessitated the launching of a massive rehabilitation and rebuilding efforts by the government. Moving on, an Ethiopian activist says the TPLF agents are relying on some Western personalities in powerful positions while attempting to plunge Ethiopia into an endless destruction. The activist and scholar Alemayehu Gebramariam said within days after the attack on the North Command base in the state of Tigray, the TPLFs beat a hasty retreat and a federal counter-offensive. Kasaun Chane presents the story as follows.
According to the Ethiopians, beginning in mid-November 2020, the triumvirate of Susan Rice, Antonio Blinken, and an NSC advisor, Jack Sullivan, made themselves the drum majors of TPLF-sponsored lies and disinformation, which depicted Ethiopia as a land wrecked by civil war, targeted ethnic violence, and a source of regional stability and peace. Professor Alemayehu added that, as the TPLF retreated into the bush, the triumvirate openly waged a campaign to West the Ethiopian government to negotiate and dialogue with the TPLF. He also stated that the dialogue was intended to secure a power-sharing agreement for the TPLF, guarantees them a central role in national government, and granted them total immunity from prosecution for crimes they have committed over the past 27 years, including the treasonous attack on the NCB and the Maikadra massacres. The scholar accentuated the credit is due to the Trump administration for calling a spade a spade. On November 4, 2020, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo condemned the TPLF attack and declared the United States stands with the people of Ethiopia and will work with all who are committed to peace, prosperity, democracy, and the rule of law. Alemayehu also forwarded that on November 15, 2020, Assistant Secretary Tivor Nagy strongly condemned the TPLF's unjustifiable attacks against Eritrea on November 14 and urged efforts to internationalize the conflict in Tigray. Besides, on December 1, 2020, Nagy in a BBC interview said, "It is important to remember here there is no equivalency. You have a sovereign government and a region of Ethiopia, the leadership of which started a conflict against the government. The TPLF leadership wanted to use the opportunity basically to overthrow the Prime Minister and return to the type of privilege that they had enjoyed within the Ethiopian state for the last 27 years. Alemayehu meanwhile mentioned that the United States' permanent interest is to make Ethiopia China's graveyard in Africa. The United States is itching to pick a fight with China in Ethiopia. China presents a stiff challenge to American global hegemony. The United States has ignored African countries and concluded Africa will forever remain a continent of beggars. China has taken a different tack and offers Africans an economic model that not only competes with Western liberal capitalism but promises the explosive growth China has experienced itself. Hillary Clinton and other officials have tried to demonize China as a neo-colonial power for offering an alternative to Africans, as the scholar if the United States could destroy China's role and credibility in Ethiopia. That would effectively finish off China's decades-long efforts, relationships, and accomplishments in Africa. The facts show China is building roads, rail lines, bridges, and other infrastructures in Ethiopia and the rest of Africa. China does not interfere in Ethiopian politics, disrespect Ethiopian sovereignty, or treat the Ethiopian government as a vassal state to be disciplined by cultivate, denial of loans, and tries to bomb the page of its national achievement, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The inescapable truth is that the United States believes by delivering knockout punch to China and Ethiopia that it can impose a new Pax Americana on Africa. But China seems to be practicing the adage, a friend in need is a friend indeed, the scholar highlighted. Similarly, the professor pinpointed that the United States permanent interest in Ethiopia is threatening a democratic election in Ethiopia in 2021. If a free and fair election is held in Ethiopia in June 2021, as he is sure it will be, that will throw a monkey wrench in America's overall strategy in Ethiopia. He disclosed that a popularly elected government in Ethiopia will be the final nail in the TPLF's coffin.
Now, more attention to the education system is crucial to create capable women in all sectors. This remark was made by Fitsum Atnafawork in an exclusive interview with ETV English. She has expressed the need for equal platforms for all professional women in the political arena, recalling women's role in the victory of Adwa. Jerusalem Batsia reports.
My name is Fitsum Atnafawork Kidana Maria. Atnafawork is the name of my mother. Professionally, I'm a management and project management professional. Currently, I'm a consultant and trainer. Before that, I used to work for different organizations, government, non-government, and public organizations. And currently, I have a new book, which is Yehewati Kenyet. It is all about my life journey. And my life journey is the life of all women, almost all women in Ethiopia, even in Africa or all over the world. Because we professional women have different challenges in order to reach up to the ladder of the leadership positions. And at the same time, we have lots of supports that are coming into us. Okay, coming to the women, first they have to know that there are lots of things which are challenging, which stop them from their dreams. But when these things come to their to their table, and then they have to say, okay, I'm not the only one having these challenges. Who are these women? Why are they there? And then how can I be there? And then they have to be strong to, to tackle those challenges and to work hard. And then they don't have to give up. And then one day, they can be who they want. We have 50% women in the cabinet. That is something that we celebrate, like the Adwa victory. For me, it's like the Adwa victory, because looking at my age, looking at 50% women ministers in Ethiopia, it is a wow. And we have a woman president. It is a wow. It is something that we celebrate. Because for the next generation, they can say like, oh, I can be a prime minister. I can be a president. Because they have a witness to see. When it comes to the political arena, we don't have many women in leadership on the political road because of the system. For example, when as a professional woman, I don't want to be a politician. Because I don't want to be a politician, I cannot be a prime minister. So that is our system. That's how we are in Ethiopia and of course in the world. In order to be a leader, a country leader, yes, I can be a leader in my organization or I can be a higher leader in any organization, but I cannot be a country leader in Ethiopia because I'm not a politician. And then it's not only me, there are many professionals who are left behind and then who cannot contribute to the country because they are not politicians, they are only professionals. So that system has to be changed. In order to see more women on leadership, as a system, we have to work on education as a whole and especially education of women. And then the other thing, men has to support the women, their sisters, their siblings, and then the community. Men cannot be, change makers. The same is true for women. Women cannot be the change makers. We have to come together And then we have, in order to come together, we have to get those opportunities together. And then when we get these opportunities together, and then we will have a diversified decision that is valuable, and then which brings a change to our country and to the community.
Humanitarian Assistance Coordinator in the state of Tigray discloses that about 3.8 million people have so far received humanitarian assistance. The assistance has been delivered to those who were engaged in the safety net program and those who were affected during the law enforcement operation in the state, it was pointed out. Santayo Tamrat presents the story as follows.
Humanitarian assistance continues to reach members of the community affected by the law enforcement operation in the state of Tigray. 780,000 quintals of food has so far found its way to those in need, and this has benefited more than 3.8 million beneficiaries. Additional support is also being provided to children and breastfeeding mothers, the coordinator said.
Since delivery of humanitarian assistance began in Tigray, about 780,000 quintals of food support has been distributed to 3,830,000 beneficiaries in all districts of the state through the National Disaster Risk Management, the federal government, and the Joint Emergency Operation Program, SafetyNet Program, and the CRS.
Notwithstanding, Ethiopian government takes the lion's share in the aid provision, there are also local and global NGOs taking part in the endeavor. In this regard, the World Food Programme has pledged to deliver assistance to 1 million people for 6 months.
Humanitarian agencies WFP.
There are humanitarian agencies operating here. For example, the World Food Programme director came here, visited the area, and pledged to provide food support to 1 million people for 6 months. They have dispatched their staff. They are here in Mekelle.
The pace and size of humanitarian aid in Tigray state is increasing. It was learned.
Now in our business story, Ethiopian ambassador to Djibouti says Ethiopia is desirous to contribute its fair share in the development of the livestock industry. Ethiopia inaugurated a new livestock reservoir with an outlay of $400 in Drale multi-purpose port in Djibouti. Haptamo Ashagri presents the story as follows.
Ethiopia constructed the livestock terminal in Drale multi-purpose port with an outlay of $400,000. The terminal is said to help facilitate the export of live animals. Talking to ETV, Ethiopian ambassador to Djibouti, Birhanu Tsaggaye, said Ethiopia has for long failed to get its fair share of benefit from its live animals' potential. According to the ambassador, poor management of live animal production cost Ethiopia a lot during the past administration.
Previously, Ethiopia's export of live animals at Port Djibouti were far from proper. Even the live animals were not properly medicated and managed. Thus, the export activity of live animals was not effective. Live animal products from the nation reached their destination in poor quality. Sometimes exported items were returned because of quality issues.
To alleviate the recent problems, the construction of livestock terminal in Drale multi-purpose port plays significant role, Birhanu added.
The construction of this livestock terminal is critical to solve problems. If we are managing this activity wisely, it can help avoid contraband livestock market in the region. Thus, it helps us to increase the potential of foreign currency. It also brings better advantage to the nation.
The Mile Quarantine Center has certified exporting livestock so as to facilitate the export activities into Middle East countries. Drale multi-purpose port marketing department head Habon Abdurrahman for her part said the construction of the livestock terminal helps to cement Ethiopia and Djibouti ties.
This terminal is very important for our both governments because, as you know, livestock is one of the key exports for Ethiopia, and the Djibouti government was thinking for the last decade
$400,000. That's the price. Apologies. Now, in our continental news, while the world celebrates the International Women's Day, a statement by the AU Commission chairs says that at the African Union Commission, parity is a prerequisite for the success of our endeavor. Parity, the statement further said, has been included not only in our Constitutive Act, but also in the modalities of the AU's elections. Today, it said, the continental body is happy to achieve this in the highest organs of its organization. The African Union has made gender equality and the empowerment of women one of its priorities. These have been translated into political commitments at the level of heads of state and government, with particularly the solemn Declaration on Gender Equality in Africa, the parity policy of the AUC, and today the launching of the AU Strategy for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women 2018 to 2028, the statement concluded. Celebrating the International Women's Day, the United Nations announces that women's unemployment rate increased around the world due to the coronavirus pandemic. Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, said women are the most affected ones by the pandemic in many ways. Emmanuel Jorge presents the story from the Voice of America.
While employment has dropped across the world during the COVID-19 pandemic, the economic impact on women have been particularly harsh, according to the United Nations.
Women, who represent 70% of all healthcare workers, have been among those most affected by the pandemic and among those leading the response to it. Gender inequalities have increased dramatically in the past year as women bear the brunt of school closures and working from home.
UN data show employment losses for women stand at roughly 5% globally compared to 3.9% for men.
Mothers and children were saying they didn't have anything to eat. That broke my heart. Why? I have lived like that, and as a mother, seeing your children hungry and not being able to give them something, even a candy or a bread, so at least they don't cry from hunger.
According to the CEO of a platform that promotes the careers of women of color, employment losses in the United States were particularly high among Black and Latino women.
The industries in which Black and brown women heavily are employed by, so hospitality, leisure, some of those industries have a very high concentration of Black and brown women. And so in 2020, we realized that a lot of those industries were heavily affected. Therefore, it affected the women who were employed there, who are no longer employed.
Despite facing economic challenges and shouldering the burden of childcare as schools close, women around the world have found ways to use their skills and inspire others.
My son told me, "Mom, let's do something productive. Some YouTube channels they see don't teach anything. Let's teach them how to farm, or teach them something. Let's give them hope."
We believe that women are strong and we can make a change. We too have abilities and can work alongside men.
The theme of International Women's Day for 2021 is Choose to Challenge, a call to action for a more gender-equal world. For many women globally, the biggest immediate challenge may be to just stay afloat in a pandemic-ravaged world.
And finally, a quick reminder of the top stories. Premier Abiy urges the public to prioritize peace in the upcoming election. And the UN says women still underrepresented in public life and leadership. And with that, we come to the end of this news edition. Many thanks for watching us. Take care and stay safe.